I survived only because I dropped a wrench at the worst possible moment. The Valyrians had been studying us for generations, baffled by how our species managed to survive on a world that seemed designed to wipe out the careless. Their kind revered efficiency above all else, every movement flawless, every calculation exact. From childhood, they trained their young to foresee outcomes with uncanny precision, predicting arcs and reactions with near-supernatural accuracy. So when humanity was invited to their vast interstellar academy, most assumed we'd disgrace ourselves within days. And I almost did, just not in the way anyone expected. My name's Alex, technician, second class. Hardly the ideal face of interstellar diplomacy. I wasn't even meant to be part of the delegation, just the guy making sure the lights didn't flicker during speeches. But fate, or more likely my clumsiness, had its own design. The turning point happened in the Academy's reflex hall, where recruits proved combat readiness against training drones. These drones were sleek silver spheres, darting quicker than the eye could follow, their movements modeled after Valyrian warriors who never wasted energy. My task was to install a new power coil. Instead, balancing it on my shoulder, I sneezed and sent my wrench clattering across the chamber. That single bounce sent the drones spiraling into confusion. Their sensors couldn't process the randomness of a tool spinning unpredictably. Amid the chaos, one cadet avoided a beam he never would have seen, only because he stumbled over my foot and fell flat just as the shot seared the space where his head had been. The instructors froze, their frilled crests stiffening in shock. "How did the human predict a 30-degree variance?" one demanded. I opened my mouth to confess it was just bad luck, but the cadet cut me off, grinning like he had orchestrated it all. "Adaptive reflexes," he declared. Somehow the phrase stuck. Overnight, humanity gained a reputation. The Valyrians became convinced we possessed a hidden art of chaotic movement, a combat style born from unpredictability. They began scheduling demonstrations, eager to witness more. To them, every trip, flinch, or fumble looked like mastery in disguise. When I knocked over a tray of calibration chips and caused 3 drones to crash midair, they called it nonlinear disruption strategy. When another human sneezed so hard he dropped his staff directly onto his opponent's knee, they named it kinetic misdirection. We laughed behind closed doors, but none of us dared correct them. Word spread across the academy. Humans became whispered enigmas, legends wrapped in accidents. Valyrian cadets tried to copy us, staggering down corridors, bumping into furniture, even rehearsing delayed reactions. Never worked. Their ingrained precision betrayed them. Their errors looked rehearsed, predictable, hollow. The harder they tried, the more frustrated they grew, while our genuine awkwardness only deepened the myth. Soon things escalated further. During a war game simulating a starship ambush, my duty was to monitor power flow. Predictably, I slipped on spilled coolant and slammed my elbow into the console. Sparks flew, the lights cut out, and the attackers faltered in the sudden blackout. Meanwhile, the human team, long used to stumbling through dark caves, advanced without missing a step. We won in record time. Afterward, Valyrian commanders crowded around me, voices trembling with reverence. "Your unpredictability is the sharpest weapon," one said, bowing. Another added, "Now we understand why humanity thrives where others falter." I wanted to laugh, maybe cry, but instead I only nodded because what else could I do? Humanity had stumbled into a new role, the galaxy's masters of unpredictability. That night, our group sat in the mess hall, trying not to choke with laughter as we shared the day's absurdity. One cadet joked about inventing a martial art called the stumble, with belts awarded for tripping gracefully. Another suggested a manual where page 1 simply read, "Step 1, drop something." Yet beneath the humor, a sobering thought lingered. The Valyrians weren't entirely wrong. Our clumsiness wasn't just embarrassing, it was survival. Back on Earth, dodging falling branches, slipping on wet ground, reacting to sudden threats, our bodies had adapted without plans or calculations. Just instinct. Maybe that was something the galaxy couldn't replicate. I didn't know what tomorrow's training would hold, or how long we could keep the charade alive. But for the first time I wondered if maybe, just maybe, our clumsy reflexes really were a kind of hidden superpower. The Academy's Grand Colosseum certainly wasn't built for someone like me. Towering walls shimmered with holographic projections of shifting battlefields, while the Valyrians strode across the floor like dancers on a stage, every motion sharp and deliberate. Their precision was dazzling, terrifying, nearly suffocating. Soon, humans were scheduled to face them in a mixed-species tournament designed to showcase each world's strengths. Everyone expected us to be vaporized by drones, outmaneuvered by the Karun, and humiliated by the Valyrians themselves. I had no plan to be anywhere near that spotlight. But luck, or my dreadful balance, had other ideas. Our team consisted of 5 humans, myself included, only because the Academy demanded equal representation. The night before, we gathered in the training hall, staring at the drones we'd be expected to fight. These weren't practice models anymore. They were sleek black spheres bristling with blades, plasma emitters, and reaction speeds measured in microseconds. No one spoke for a long while. Then Maria, the boldest among us, broke the silence by dropping her water bottle. It bounced across the floor, hit the power switch of a nearby drone, and sent it twitching in circles before powering down. The room erupted in laughter, but beneath it was a strange certainty. Maybe this was how we'd win. By doing the wrong thing so thoroughly that no alien system could anticipate our chaos. When the day arrived, the stands were filled with beings from 20 worlds, each whispering predictions of our imminent failure. The Valyrians entered first, bowing gracefully, their crests glittering like polished glass. Then came us, 5 humans, tripping over the entrance ramp because someone's shoelace was untied. The crowd roared with laughter. Our opponents narrowed their eyes, unsure if the stumble was genuine or staged. That flicker of doubt was all we needed. The first round began with drones firing low-intensity plasma bolts. Valyrian cadets dodged elegantly, barely shifting their footing. When our turn came, I immediately slipped on the slick flooring and landed flat on my back. A plasma bolt tore past me and slammed into one of the drone's control towers, frying it instantly. The stadium gasped in shock. Maria, ever quick to improvise, spun her staff in a sloppy arc, missing the drone entirely but smashing a wall panel that burst in a rain of sparks. The drone's vision scrambled long enough for Jake, our quietest teammate, to panic and hurl his staff like a spear. He missed by a mile but nailed the relay overhead. Half the arena plunged into darkness. The aliens murmured in awe. "Humans don't strike the target," they said. "Humans strike the battlefield." One voice whispered, "Masters of misdirection." Another agreed solemnly. We were trying not to collapse laughing. The next round brought in the Karun, predators renowned for precision strikes. Their reptilian frames coiled with terrifying speed, certain we'd respond with neat counters. Instead, Tom sneezed mid-step, swinging his staff into Maria, who toppled into Jake, who tripped and landed square on the Karun leader's tail. The alien shrieked, lost balance, and the entire squad went down like falling dominoes. The audience roared with delight. The judges weren't just entertained, they were taking furious notes, treating every accident like tactical brilliance. To them, chaos was strategy. To them, our clumsiness was art. By the final round, even we leaned into it. Maria hurled her staff skyward at random. Jake tied his shoes mid-fight. Tom dropped his bottle so often the drone's predictive systems overloaded trying to plot the chaos. As for me, tripping on nothing was enough. Somehow we advanced. Humanity was hailed as innovators, wielders of uncertainty. The Academy's press spun grand theories. Earth's dangers had forged us into chance-born warriors who weaponized chaos itself. That night, I lay awake, listening to my squad joke about creating a martial art of stumbles and trips. Yet, I remembered the Valyrian faces. Awed, baffled, humbled. For them, life was equations. For us, it was falling and rising again. The next morning, instructors demanded a live demonstration before recruits from a dozen species. My stomach churned as the crowd watched. Maria stepped up first, raised her staff, and instantly dropped it on her foot. Gasps rippled through the hall. Jake rushed forward, tripped on the platform edge, and crashed into a projector, showering sparks across the room. The aliens leaned forward in stunned awe. Humanity's legend of chaos grew larger still. The final test was the trial of reflex and wits, reserved for the best cadets. To win was to be honored by the High Council, a prize civilizations craved. We weren't supposed to compete, but after our streak of upsets, the Council insisted. It was our chance to prove ourselves. Or expose the truth. I was sure the charade would collapse. The arena shifted into a labyrinth of moving walls, flashing panels, and drones with stun beams. 6 species entered, every one trained to perfection. We shuffled in last. I swear I heard a Valyrian mutter, "May chaos guide them." The horn blared. The walls shifted. Valyrians flowed like water. The Karoons sprinted with serpentine grace. Maria tripped on Jake's boot. Tom dropped his baton, nearly frying the floor. I slammed into a wall shoulder first. Drones swarmed, bolts firing. One clipped me and I ducked, straight into a panel that snapped loose, crushing a drone beneath. Sparks blinded the Karoon. A floor glitch sent Valyrians stumbling. Jake, fumbling, hit a switch that rerouted half the drones. Path cleared. The crowd roared. We staggered deeper, accidents carving a trail. Maria leaned on a wall that suddenly shifted, launching her into a console that disabled another wave. Tom slipped, hit a plate, and triggered a barrier that blocked pursuers. Jake flailed, smacked my arm, and scattered my tools. The kit tripped 2 of the fastest rivals. It was chaos, a storm we didn't command but somehow surfed. By the time we stumbled into the core, the others were still trapped in drones and walls. The last hurdle, a shimmering puzzle lock. Valyrians trained years for it. We had minutes. Maria pressed wrong. Jake guessed wrong again. Tom leaned in frustration, accidentally activating a hidden bypass. The lock flared and the gate swung open. We rushed through. The trial ended. Silence fell, then thunderous applause. The High Council descended, cloaked in starlight. The tallest raised a hand. Today we have seen the impossible. Precision defeated not by sharper claws or quicker minds, but by humanity's gift for chaos. You turn accidents into weapons, missteps into mastery. You prove that control is not the only path to triumph. Chaos, too, has its place in the stars. I stood there bruised and sweating, unsure whether to laugh or faint. They gave us medals, which I nearly dropped. Millions bowed. Some even tried mimicking our techniques, stumbling deliberately. Humanity had become the galaxy's champions of unpredictability, stumbling deliberately in ways that looked absurd. Yet this time I didn't stop them. 'Cause maybe they weren't completely mistaken. Our errors weren't just defeats. They were adaptation. Humanity had spent centuries outlasting storms, scaling fragile terrain, and creating solutions when plans collapsed. We endured not because we were flawless, but because we weren't. And perhaps that was brilliance no machine could ever copy. That evening, as we sat beneath the alien horizon, Maria lifted her glass. To the clumsiest victors in the stars, she said. We laughed until tears came, realizing we hadn't merely tripped into triumph. We had tripped into recognition. And for the first time the cosmos viewed humans not as fragile beginners but as something different. The species that could turn falling flat on their faces into strategy. Humanity had arrived, not with elegance, but with radiant, unforgettable disorder.